Hi everyone. I'm going to walk you through the syllabus for English 1000C with Sophie Bell. And there's a lot of important information in this syllabus, and I am going to try to take you through it briskly. If you miss anything and you want to watch this at home, you're welcome to, but I don't want this to take the whole class period. Okay, you have the syllabus in front of you, hopefully, while you're watching this. But let's see. First of all, English 1000C is the first year writing class, although people often take it in their second year of St. John's, and even beyond that. The images that you see all come from the first assignment of the year called Buzzwords, and I'll tell you more about that later. You can see that my office hours are Tuesday and Friday in the mornings, 10 to 11:30. Many of you can probably make this time, many of you can't. If you want to see me another time, email me at this address. I keep office hours in the St. Augustine Hall Writing Center, just directly on your right when you enter the building. And my room is all the way in the back with a bunch of first-year writing professor offices. It's 163. You can use my office phone to call me, but you would have to be very lucky to reach me. On the other hand, so I don't recommend it unless you had a plan to see me and you're calling to tell me you can't make it and you know I'm there. Otherwise, email me. I try to check my email at least once a day, and I try to get back to students within 24 hours of any email. Sometimes it's much quicker. So use email to reach me. The class is called Personal Experience Public Writing. This title may or may not be self-explanatory. What I find is that people write the best if they care about what they're writing. And it's not always the case, but often people care about what they're writing if it has to do with themselves somehow and their experiences. So most of the assignments I set up ask you to look at something in your own life and either write about it or think about how writing impacts it. Some of the juicy questions we'll look at this semester are: why and how do your identities and experiences matter in the larger world? How can thinking, talking, and writing about what you know, wish you knew, and have been through help you grow as a writer? And you're going to write personal narratives, you're going to make public arguments, you're going to do research, all kind of with your own experience as your evidence, but also looking at your experiences and questioning them. If this doesn't sound academic, or like college writing, that's good news, because what a lot of people think college writing is boring, dry writing that has nothing to do with anything anyone would want to hear about, and that's not what we're here to do. So you can read more about the authors we're going to read and the questions we're going to raise. I'll just say the two personal experiences that I will challenge you to think about the most at the beginning of the semester are language and race. So questions around that could be: what is good English? And that has got to be in quotes. We'll start with that one. How should it be taught in college? What is race? If it's a biological fiction, which scientists say it is, how come it infects our daily lives so much? And then at the end of the semester, you'll choose your own issue that matters to you in your personal life, and you will take a public stand on it in writing. You're going to read each other's writing a lot, and you'll read a few things by other writers and watch a couple of films as well to get this going. My partner in planning this course is Amanda Mulder, who's also an English 1000C professor. So if you have friends in her classes, you'll see a lot of similarities in what they're doing and what you're doing. Here are the basic beliefs behind the course. It's a writing class, it's a college writing class. I believe that writing is a form of personal and cultural power, that if you write, you can learn to understand yourself better, understand the world better, and you can get people to listen to you. So more writing equals more power. The way I think people learn to write is by writing. And there's a lot of scholarship to back me up here. The more you write, the better you write. And finally, I think writing is a social act, so that the more you read and discuss other people's writing, and the more they read and discuss yours, the better you all write. So this isn't a class for journal writing, even though many of you probably keep a journal, and I'm jealous, and that's great. But in the journal, your audience is yourself. In almost all other forms of writing, it's other people. And so in this class, we'll give each other feedback on what we got out of each other's writing. I think if you just write and talk about writing this semester, you will grow as a writer. And I know that by doing it myself with my students every semester, I grow. Required text and materials. Okay, have some kind of folder to keep your stuff in when you come to class every day. There's a lot of different paper exchanging hands in this class. Even though many things happen online, it's a writing class. There's going to be a lot of pieces of paper. At home or in your room, have a 2 or 3 inch 3-ring binder and just keep putting stuff in there so it doesn't get lost. At the end of the semester, you'll bring all of that stuff into class and you will select your favorite pieces for a final portfolio. It's really important to hold on to everything until that final moment of choice. You'll also need a notebook of blank paper because we do a lot of in-class writing, and I want you to always have paper. Sometimes you'll need to hand it in. A lot of it will just be for yourself. This next thing is my little pet peeve, I guess. Please bring either a stapler or paper clips with you everywhere, because when you give me writing, it makes my life a lot easier if it's already fastened. Otherwise, I have to do a lot of detective work. It slows me down in reading students' writing, and it just gets under my skin. So if you could fasten your work, that would be great. It's hard because you go to the print shop probably, or the student computing center on your way here, and they don't have staplers there usually. So you often will have trouble finding something to fasten your papers with. That's why I say, like, throw a bag of paper clips in your bag, or get one of those cute little hot pink mini staplers and make that a cool item in your personal bag. People who own those are become very popular in my class because everybody always wants to borrow them. Make yourself one of those people. Okay, don't throw out any of your writing till the semester's over. Never throw out anyone else's writing because they'll be crying when it's time to make their portfolio. And finally, to do well in this class, you really need to have constant access to the internet. If you don't have it at home, it doesn't mean you can't do well. You just need to make a plan and be organized. And you need constant access to a printer. And in both cases, I'd say have a backup plan for the internet and a backup plan for the printer. There's a lot of pen and paper in this class, and there's a lot of online stuff. Okay, the major assignments for this semester. In the first half of the semester, you'll write a series of short, quick identity narratives. We'll start with a linguistic identity narrative about languages that you speak. Then we'll move to a racial identity crisis narrative, and I'll tell you more about what that is. But when you started to notice things about race and how they impacted your lives, for some of you this might be writing about when you're very young, for some of you might write more recently. This is a tough subject to write about, so we'll do a lot to warm up for that. You should all expect me to do a bunch of work to try to help you get ready to write that. And then finally, an ally narrative, looking for people who are able to be allies to others, either in issues of language or race, or in other areas. Okay, each time you write a draft, you'll exchange with a peer review group that you're in, where 3 or 4 people will read your work. You'll read theirs, and eventually you'll choose one of those to revise, whichever of the identity narratives you like the best. At the second half of the semester, you'll identify a social justice issue that's personally relevant and compelling to you, and you'll write both about your own experiences, but about what your research tells you other people say on that issue, and you'll join the conversation on this issue, writing to a public audience who needs to know more about what you've learned. The final project of the semester is a digital remix project that is part of your final portfolio. At the end of the semester, this capstone project will help you revisit the pieces of writing you've produced over the course of the semester, select those you think are most significant, and remix them for a digital audience. We'll talk a lot about how to do that. And then the pieces that you choose to combine in your digital remix will make up your final portfolio for the course. Regular assignments. Most weeks you could expect to write about 5 pages. Often you'll be writing informal writing, sometimes it will be formal. You'll respond to several texts. either by other students or by published authors. And then there'll always be something odd I ask you to do. Collaborate on writing or research, conduct an interview, revise a piece of writing. You never know, but there'll always be something else going on. Let's talk about grading. I read all your work, but I don't grade individual things that you hand me. I comment on them. I try to have a conversation with you about your writing, but I don't grade it. So the important question is, how do you get a grade in this class? And what I do to answer that question is I use something used by many composition teachers called contract grading. Jane Danielowitz and Peter Elbow wrote a version that I've adapted for this course. And here's how it works. According to the contract, you're guaranteed a B in this class if you cover the basics. I'm going to talk about a B in detail, and then you can see how to get higher or lower than a B. First of all, you attend class regularly and on time. You don't miss more than 3 classes. You participate. We're going to write a cell phone policy today with any luck. You follow that policy, or you help us write it, and if it's not working, you change it. You complete your work on time. You give thoughtful peer feedback. You revise deeply instead of just run a spell check. You attend your conferences with me and Writing Center consultants, and you improve your writing, your original drafts. You search out interesting and useful sources when you do research. And when technology problems come up, and they always do, you solve them creatively. Okay, that's how you get a B. You could get lower than a B, and I'm not going to read this whole thing out loud, by not doing all those things. If you miss some of those things, which are this is the basics of this class. This is what's most essential to do in this class. If you don't do all those things, you get lower than a B. If you want to know how you're doing, check in with me. Now, to get higher than a B in this class would be exceeding the course expectations that I described. This is harder to define, but the best word I can use to define it is spark. A lot of people get higher than a B. In my experience, this is my 7th year of teaching. It's not hard to get higher than a B. It's just hard to describe it. It's very easy to describe the contract of do your work on time, revise a lot, show up for conferences. It's hard to describe higher than a B work, but it's when you look interested in your writing, you look interested in other people's writing, you take risks, you try stuff, you help other people. These are harder to measure, and that's how you get higher than a B. I'm sure you all are going to have questions about this after the screencast, so please ask them. Okay, one-on-one writing conferences are a really important required part of all 1000C classes, and I think it's a really good idea. 3 times this semester you'll come and meet with me alone about your writing in my office. And once you'll go to the Writing Center and try that out with a peer writing consultant. We'll talk much more about this, but always for those writing conferences, bring a specific passage of your writing. It could be short, something you want to work on, and then some urgent questions about how to improve that passage. As long as you do that, you usually have a great writing conference. Without that, there's sort of no reason to meet. So that's why I emphasize that at the beginning of the semester. Talk more on that later. Technology in this course. I communicate frequently by email, so you need to check your whichever email address you give me at least once a day, or you will not know what's going on in the class. It's just the way this class operates. I do not care if it's a St. John's email or not. And sometimes when people get in a fight with the financial aid or registration office, their St. John's email stops working. So sometimes I recommend not using your St. John's email. A reliable email you check every day will work. If you think you're really not going to check your email this semester, talk to me about how you can keep from failing. And not to be overly dramatic, but it really is important. So just talk to me if you don't check email. Laptop. Bring your laptop to class every day for the beginning of the semester, and we'll see how it goes. If we stop using them as often, that may not be a policy anymore, but for now, bring them. 2 other places that we'll use are PBWorks, where I'll give you course information, and Google Drive, where you'll post your work for me. And by next Tuesday, you should be up and running on both of those. And advise helping each other out, because often a problem that's giving you a headache technology-wise